Hi everyone! Celebrities and fashion magazines keep telling us that we need to accept and love ourselves. But what if you just can't love your body, and your reflection in the mirror leaves a lot to be desired? Well, in such cases, you can always start changing yourself. For example, find a way to turn your imperfections into virtues. Start working out or taking up art. Today, we will tell you several transformation stories that change the lives of people forever. If you are looking for motivation for self-improvement, then you definitely found the right video. Let's get it on. Myri Stewart. In the 90s, when the British supermodel Kate Moss started conquering the world fashion industry, millions of girls around the world began envying her body. Thin and fragile, ample women from Hollywood, popular in the second half of the 20th century, were forgotten, and extreme, almost morbid thinness had become a new trend. Alas, the desire to look like a fashion model has become a source of serious health issues for many women. The most common type of eating disorder that questionable diets and extreme nutrient deficiencies can lead to is anorexia. It's estimated that on average about 2% of women have at least once experienced physical or psychological manifestations of anorexia. Fortunately, with the right treatment, more than half of these cases result in full recovery. Myri Stewart from Scotland knows a thing or two about this condition. When she was a teen, she had seen many incredibly thin models and was determined to become like them. Her obsessive desire to lose weight was only aggravated by issues in her personal life and her family. Alas, at some point, things got out of hand. By the age of 17, the girl weighed less than 30 kilograms, and the energy value of her daily diet ranged between 300 and 500 calories. At the same time, Myri worked out 8 hours a day, exhausting herself with physical exercises. As her family recalls, the girl was literally on the brink of death. And finally, her parents realized that things could not go on like this. This happened after gym coaches stopped Myri from working out because of her exhausted state and risks to health. In 2016, the girl finally asked a specialist for help. At that moment, she could hardly speak. Fortunately, her recovery was swift and successful. A few months later, she was offered the job of a gym coach, while her own body was rapidly building up muscles. Shortly after starting the new job, Myri realized that she could use her experience to help other women deal with anorexia. Today, she provides them with psychological and sports support and continues to be successful in her workouts.
Easy, yeah? Easy.
Craig Goliath. Beauty standards, of course, apply not only to women. Of course, they change over time. Until recently, women with thin bodies were trendy, but for guys, thinness was always associated with weakness. This guy from the US state of Nevada used to weigh less than 70 kilograms, and until he turned 20 years old, he had no idea how to use a barbell. Today, Craig can't even imagine his life without sports. In several years, he turned his body into a real jock who now weighs 160 kilograms. You'll probably recognize him in this photo, which became viral at some point. Compared to ordinary passengers in public transport, Craig looks like a real monster from films about superheroes. Craig admits that his weight is not only a reason for bragging on Instagram, but also a source of daily inconvenience. Due to his powerful body structure, it's hard for Craig to even tie shoes, climb stairs, or even take a shower. But all this pales compared to the pleasure that training and victories in bodybuilding championships bring him. As for the workout routine, Craig admits that he doesn't do cardio exercises unless he wants to lose weight quickly. He goes to the gym 6 times a week, and most of his workouts are about strength building. During each of them, he focuses on one specific area of the body. Most of all, Craig loves working out his pectoral muscles, and the bulk of his diet is protein shakes, white rice, chicken, and pasta. David Aguilar. People born with disabilities find it more difficult to cope with their insecurities because they can't solve their issues with training or diet. However, this guy from Spain proved that nothing is impossible. David Aguilar was born without a right forearm. Instead of it, he only has a small arm with an equally small, underdeveloped hand. Of course, life with such a diagnosis is not a reason to give up. Nowadays, there are a huge number of prostheses and devices that allow people with disabilities to have a normal life, but David came up with something better. He decided to make his own prosthesis. As a child, David's favorite toys were Lego sets. He once thought thought, if he can build real ships and helicopters from Lego pieces, why not try and make an arm out of them? He created his first prosthesis at the age of 9, and by the age of 18, he had finished a fully functioning model. His first prototype was called the Mark I and was assembled from a Lego Technic set. It was reasonably simple. Soon, Mark II followed. After that, there was another model, and finally, David came up with Mark IV, the most advanced prosthesis. Yeah, David admits that in everyday life he can do without it. He even creates dubstep music. After a while, Lego learned about David's invention, and he became the official ambassador of the company. Thanks to this, David decided to pursue a career in bioengineering, and today he's studying this subject at the university. So we should definitely expect a lot of breakthrough discoveries from him. Shalom Nakom. When this girl was only 9 years old, she suffered from an accident. One day, Shalom was in her mother's restaurant in her native Nigeria, and in course of a tragic accident, a pot of hot oil fell on her face. Aside from going through a painful rehabilitation after the injury, she faced other issues. Her classmates avoided her, and some of them even came up with insulting nicknames like Monster or Scarface. Shalom experienced a lot of negativity, and she stopped feeling any joy in her life. Fortunately, her depression began to fade away. Mother was always there for Shalom, and she also talked a lot with the other burn victims. She began to think how to hide her scars in order to feel more confident in public, and decided to use makeup. Soon, Shalom became a real professional in the world of makeup, and even started her own YouTube channel. Now she films her face on camera and teaches subscribers not only the art of makeup, but also how to accept themselves and their facial features. Brian Finn. The history of tattoos dates back several thousand years, but this type of body modification has become especially popular in recent decades. Today, in some countries in Europe and the United States, the number of adult citizens with tattoos is reaching 50% of the entire population. Most people put images on their skin because they consider it stylish, or use them as a symbol of something important, but some of them can tell a completely different story. One day, Brian Finn from Ohio decided that he could use his talent as a painter and a tattoo artist to help people who suffered from violence. Using special technology, he learned to mask deep scars under a layer of colorful compositions. One of his clients, Lee Ring, experienced severe emotional problems in the past. To escape from the pain, she cut her hands deep since the age of 17. Today, Lee has already learned how to cope with her troubled past, and she came to Brian to transform memories from her past into something completely new. Where the old scars used to be, there's now a composition of flowers and an elegant dragonfly, a symbol of change, as the girl puts it. Jesse Shand. And finally, another story about changing yourself. Not so long ago, this guy from Novi, Michigan weighed more than 300 kilograms and didn't leave his house for several years. In that time, Jesse felt miserable and vented his anger on the world by publishing hater comments on the internet. When he stumbled upon the website for bodybuilders, Jesse published his photo there and invited users to ask the fattest man on the site anything. The guy held his breath in anticipation of the upcoming hostility, but everything went not quite as he expected. Instead of being enraged by Jesse, the athletes were sympathetic to him and shared advice on nutrition and training. One of the users even bought the guy an inflatable pool because Jesse simply couldn't fit in the shower. Suddenly, the compassion of strangers inspired Jesse. For 2 years, Jesse worked out hard, visiting the gym 5 times a week, completely abandoned junk food, and began to maintain a new diet. Of course, the first steps were the most challenging for him, but he felt constant support from the members of that bodybuilding forum. For example, one guy advised him to start his workout with a daily walk around the house, gradually increasing the number of laps, and then move on to squats. And another user gave Jesse a barbell and a pair of dumbbells so that he could start working out at home. A little later, when Jesse could already go to the gym on his own, local athletes volunteered to help him with his workouts. They also prepared a new diet for him. Gradually, Jesse began to return to his former lifestyle. He made new friends, started shopping, and finally could sit in the driver's seat of his favorite car. In a couple of years, he lost more than 50% of his weight. Jesse weighed 120 kilograms, a good part of which was muscles acquired through hard work. He had to solve one remaining problem though, to remove almost 20 kilograms of sagging skin formed after such a radical weight loss. Of course, surgical procedures were available, but Jesse simply didn't have enough money to afford them. Thankfully, he managed to raise $20,000 through crowdfunding. Now, he lives a happy, fulfilling life. Psst. Dude, are you looking for new technologies and great gadgets? Are your thoughts focused on the future? Do you love huge vehicles and can't imagine your life without robots around you? Then visit TechZone and you'll find all this and more. The link is in the description. You interested? Great.